Henry Cavill might just be one of the unluckiest actors in Hollywood history. And no, not because he flopped too often or failed to become a full-on superstar. That happens to lots of actors. What makes Henry stand out is just how many huge roles he almost landed and then got slapped with a thanks but no thanks. Back when no one really knew who he was, when he was just a handsome nobody trying to make it. Henry racked up a record number of near misses in big-name films. It got so bad that actual media outlets dubbed him the unluckiest man in Hollywood back in 2006. The early 2000s were brutal. Massive franchises like Harry Potter, Twilight, James Bond all had Henry on the shortlist. And we're not talking early rejections. No, Henry made it to the final two. Over and over again. Then came the "You're amazing, kid" shoulder pat and the "maybe next time" speech. Ironically, those same roles often launched a career of Robert Pattinson. Yep, the guy who beat Henry out at least twice. In Twilight, even the book's author, Stephanie Meyer, was rooting for Cavill, but the studio thought he looked too old for a teen vampire and basically told him to come back when he's ready to play retired Navy SEALs. Even after Cavill got kind of famous, the rejection parade didn't stop. He says he personally missed a few roles simply because he didn't answer the phone. Why? Because the man was deep in World of Warcraft raids and didn't hear it ringing. Video games literally cost Henry Cavill roles in Hollywood. But hey, plot twist, that gamer rep paid off later. When studios found out he was a legit PC gamer, fans started spamming social media demanding Cavill in video game adaptations. And producers, well, they didn't want to get torched by angry Reddit mobs, so they started throwing money at Henry to shut everyone up. That's how he landed The Witcher, and also how he rage quit The Witcher. Rumor has it the producers were butchering the lore, and Henry was done banging his head against the wall. Officially, they gave some PR mumbo-jumbo about creative differences. Henry's jumped into Warhammer 40K with Amazon. Yeah, that Amazon. The same one behind Rings of Power and Wheel of Time. Apparently, it took them over a year to sort out legal rights and creative control. So, fan hype? Pretty much in the gutter right now. If Witchergate was bad, this could be a full-on nerd riot if they mess it up. Let's be honest. If this show flops too, Cavill deserves a sympathy bouquet and a new gaming chair. So, yeah, today's story is about Henry Cavill, a pro-level gamer who moonlights as an actor. Not the luckiest guy in showbiz, but definitely one of the most talked about. Henry's first role was in Proof of Life, and calling it a role is being generous. He was an extra. Like, so deep in the background, you'd need military-grade binoculars just to spot him. But for Henry, that blurry little appearance meant a lot. Why? Because during downtime on set, he hunted down Russell Crowe and started bugging him for life advice. Now, Crowe isn't exactly known for being a cuddly mentor on set, but he didn't brush Henry off. He actually talked to him, gave him legit wisdom, man to man. The first time audiences could actually see Henry on screen was in a small Italian-Canadian drama called Laguna, 2001. It didn't blow up, but it opened a small door. His first Hollywood gig, The Count of Monte Cristo. Now, here's the funny part. There was an early version of that film where Arnold Schwarzenegger was supposed to play the Count. Just imagine that for a second. Arnie saying, "I am Edmond Dantes, I will have my revenge." Had that version hit the big screen and Henry been in Arnie's shadow, who knows? Maybe Cavill would have blasted off into stardom right there. But nope. We got the version with Jim Caviezel and Guy Pearce, which did okay. So when he landed his role in The Count of Monte Cristo, he dropped almost 20 kilos just to fit the part. But losing all that weight didn't exactly open Hollywood's golden gates. His breakout role was Hellraiser 8. That's right, Henry Cavill's first real leading role came in Hellraiser Hell World, the 8th entry in a horror franchise that should have been put to rest 5 movies ago. It skipped theaters entirely, Right after that, Cavill snagged a major role in the Red Riding Hood movie, not the famous one, not Amanda Seyfried. Henry finally caught a small break with Tristan and Isolde. Director Kevin Reynolds, the same guy who made The Count of Monte Cristo, remembered that young dude he once forced to drop 20 kilos and figured, why not give him another shot? Tristan and Isolde was a total flop at the box office. In Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, both Henry and Robert Pattinson auditioned for the role of Cedric Diggory, and yeah, we all know how that turned out. Cavill once auditioned for James Bond in Casino Royale. Yeah, sounds ridiculous, right? But it was dead serious. Director Martin Campbell later confirmed the only other actor who came this close to getting the role, besides Daniel Craig, was Henry Cavill. The producers loved him. Campbell loved him. They even considered tweaking the script just to make him fit the role better. But in the end, they felt a 22-year-old Bond would be too baby-faced for audiences. Henry even auditioned for Batman Beginning, Nolan's reboot. He didn't make it past the early rounds. But here's the twist. For some reason, Christopher Nolan remembered him. Eventually, Christopher Nolan would go on to back Cavill as Man of Steel's leading man, but long before that, Henry actually came this close to becoming Superman in Superman Returns. He made it all the way to the final round, but Bryan Singer went with Brandon Routh instead, and look how that turned out. Routh's career basically flatlined faster than a Kryptonian under red sun radiation. Then came 2007, and everything changed. Henry landed a major role in the British series The Tudors. The show was a hit, it got Golden Globe and Emmy love, and it finally put Cavill on the map. Suddenly, studios weren't slamming doors in his face as often, and Hellraiser 8 quietly started disappearing from his IMDb page. He even landed decent roles in movies like Stardust and Whatever Works. Nothing explosive, but definitely steps up. He teamed up with Joel Schumacher for Blood Creek, which flopped hard at the box office and got destroyed by critics. Around that time, Summit was casting for Twilight. Author Stephenie Meyer, huge fan of The Tudors. She was practically begging the studio to cast Henry Cavill as Edward. But once again, the studio thought he looked too old and gave the role to Robert Pattinson. If Cavill had landed Twilight, the entire DC might have looked different. New Superman, maybe no Snyderverse at all, the Henry we all know, the shredded, square-jawed Superman, truly arrived in 2011 with Immortals. Say what you want about the movie, but Cavill's physical form? He looked like Zeus crafted him in a gym with protein powder and thunderbolts. Immortals was funded by a bunch of small independent studios, and when they cast Henry, they told him, "We need you in peak condition," but financing wasn't finalized yet. So they also said, maybe wait on hiring a personal trainer. We kind of don't have the money yet. So yeah, Henry was supposed to turn into a literal demigod, but maybe hold off on getting in shape until the budget catches up. Henry paid for his Immortals training himself. When the budget finally came in, the studio covered it for a while. Then the main investor bailed, filming paused, and they took his trainer away. Studio said, just wait. Henry said, nah. He kept training on his own for 6 more months. This whole mess dragged out for nearly a year and a half. Nobody reimbursed him, but Cavill didn't complain. He was just proud of the shape he'd built. Dude was so locked in, he even took a break from gaming. And that says a lot. So Immortals crushed it at the box office, $226 million off a $75 million budget. But Cavill's reward? Stuffing down burgers and firewater to lose his god-tier gains. Why? Because before Immortals dropped, he'd already signed on for The Cold Light of Day, an action flick where he starred next to Bruce Willis and needed to look like a regular dude. Producers took one look at shredded Cavill and said, "Bro, here's a McDonald's voucher, stop touching weights." The movie bombed. Right after that flop, Henry got the biggest call of his life from Zack Snyder. Problem was, Henry missed the call. Why? He was in a World of Warcraft raid. He saw the missed call just in time, called back and told Snyder, "Sorry, I was saving the universe." Snyder thought it was a joke. Henry didn't correct him. Also, Cavill admitted he'd never read a Superman comic or seen any of the movies before landing the role, too busy gaming to care about dudes in tights. Henry hit the gym like a Kryptonian maniac. He wanted to build the perfect Superman body, and Zack Snyder pushed him even harder. Together, they forged one of the most iconic Supermen ever, even if it all started with a missed call and a WoW addiction. Zack Snyder didn't want fake muscle suits in Man of Steel. No padding, no tricks. He wanted Cavill to be jacked for real. And to prove it, he made sure the audience saw him shirtless. So Henry trained like a beast for 6 months straight. Strict diet, gym every day, body fat near zero. Even Russell Crowe, who played Superman's space dad, couldn't help but crack jokes. While Henry was getting absolutely shredded, Russell admitted he was heading in the opposite direction, expanding, as he put it. He said he totally supported Henry's transformation and wished him all the best. But all that pain, sweat, and chicken broccoli meals paid off. Man of Steel pulled in $670 million at the box office on a $250 million budget. Not bad at all, especially for a guy who nearly missed the role. $670 million, kind of modest. Still in the shadow of Marvel's insane box office runs, with Avengers and Iron Man 3 both smashing past the $1 billion. Instead of a proper Man of Steel 2, Henry got Batman v Superman, aka the beginning of the DC Universe slow funeral. There's also a weird twist about his paycheck. Pretty much every site claims Cavill made $14 million for that film, but in interviews, Henry said he never saw that money. And honestly, he might not be lying. Fan theory? The real cash got split among important people, while Henry got a pat on the back and a dusty bonus check. Hollywood's full of shady accounting. Just ask anyone who's ever seen a Marvel movie's official budget. They'll say it's $200 million, then the tax docs leak. Surprise, it was $307 million. Someone's always cooking the books, but no one ever gets slapped for it. Right after Man of Steel, Cavill's career looked ready to take off, but then he started losing roles to Charlie Hunnam. He missed out on Pacific Rim. Then King Arthur, Guy Ritchie, picked Hunnam over Cavill. Why? Ritchie said he needed a guy who looked like a proper bro, not some polished gentleman. And in Cavill, he saw royalty, not a street brawler. But when it came to the man from U.N.C.L.E., Cavill finally fit. The role needed Bond vibes, not bar fights. Originally, he was supposed to play the Russian spy with Tom Cruise as the American lead, but Cruise bailed, and Cavill talked his way into the main role. Armie Hammer slid into the Russian slot, and boom! Test screenings flopped, reshoots piled up, the movie bombed just $111 million on a $75 million budget. Franchise plans? Dead on arrival. Cavill's favorite part? Nobody made him take his shirt off. Finally, he could focus on acting instead of abs. Then came Batman vs. Superman, the movie that was supposed to launch the DC universe into Marvel-level orbit. Instead, it clipped Cavill's momentum hard. While Ben Affleck basically died during the promo tour and ended up in full-blown depression, Henry held it together. Maybe it was the video games. He started talking about them a lot more around that time. Nothing like a good RPG to numb the pain of franchise collapse. But the real kick? Cavill got his first, and so far only, Golden Raspberry for Worst On-Screen Ensemble. Oh, and a nomination for Worst Actor, just to sprinkle a little extra salt. It hit hard, so much so Cavill retreated to the not-yet mega-popular Netflix for a quieter project, Sandcastle. Then Cavill landed a role in Mission Impossible, Fallout. Big action, big stunts, big names, and a mustache. Yep, that mustache. The one that caused total CGI chaos in Justice League. Warner Brothers wanted him clean-shaven. Paramount said nope, so WB had to digitally remove the mustache, frame by frame. The result? Superman's face looked like it had been rendered on a PlayStation 2. And suddenly, Henry's facial hair became the most expensive mustache in movie history. Depending on who you ask, Warner Brothers spent somewhere between 12 and 25 million just to erase Henry Cavill's mustache in Justice League. The end result? Justice League pulled in $661 million at the box office on a reported $300 million budget. After Mission Impossible Fallout crushed it in theaters, Cavill, finally riding some solid momentum, did what any true gamer would. He started leaning hard into his PC master race image, started talking openly about his love for The Witcher 3, and when Netflix announced they were casting for Geralt, Henry went full Quest mode. He campaigned everywhere, interviews, fan events, social media, all to say, I've read the books, I've played the game, I am Geralt. The fans backed him, and Netflix couldn't ignore it. And just like that, the role was his. The budget for season 1 was around $65 million, not massive for a fantasy epic, but Cavill made it count. He pulled in $400K per episode, banking over $3 million for the season. Unless you count his Superman gig, that was his biggest payday yet. And what did Henry do with his fantasy riches? He finally bought himself a RTX 3090 and flexed it online like a proud nerd king. While slaying monsters in The Witcher, Cavill kept picking up side gigs. He played Sherlock in Enola Holmes. Then there was Deadpool, a glorious 10 seconds. And then came Argylle. Apple bet big on this spy action comedy with Cavill in the lead for a whole 10 minutes. The trailer made it seem like he was the star. Spoiler, he wasn't. The movie bombed hard. One of Apple TV's biggest flops ever. Even Brad Pitt and George Clooney weren't spared. Their new movie was supposed to hit theaters, but after Argylle, Apple played it safe and dropped it straight to streaming. A bunch of his upcoming projects are still under wraps, in post-production, or just coming soon. But Henry? He's acting like things are on the up, and with that energy, he made a bold move. He left The Witcher. After 3 seasons, the show's biggest fan, the guy who begged for the role, stepped down. Starting season 4, Geralt will now be played by Liam Hemsworth. Yep, Chris's more budget-friendly brother, same white wig, new jawline. Let's be real, Cavill loved The Witcher. He played the games, read the books, was Geralt, but eventually, watching the show drift from the source material, handled by people who didn't play or read any of it, probably broke him. Netflix had a vision, they stuck to it, and Henry bounced. His last major project of 2024 was The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, another Guy Ritchie flick. And, yeah, it flopped too. Still, Ritchie and Cavill already shot another one, The Unlawful. It was supposed to drop in February. Now it's in limbo, delayed due to complications, which in Hollywood usually means no one wants to talk about it yet. Guy Ritchie's working like he's got clones. 3 films shot, 2 series in post all at once. How he manages to juggle directing, editing, producing, and probably making coffee on set, no one knows. Maybe he's just built different. Or maybe he just doesn't sleep or care. Either way, the mortgage not going to pay itself. Ritchie was asked why he keeps bringing Cavill back. His answer? Because the man's just too damn talented. I'm not going to find anyone better. Back when King Arthur was in casting, Cavill wasn't bro enough. But somewhere along the way, Henry Cavill became the bro Ritchie didn't know he needed. Maybe it was the mustache. For now, things are looking pretty solid for Henry. Amazon finally struck a deal with Games Workshop, and the long-rumored Warhammer 40K series is officially in development. Yeah, there's some X-Men scatty rumors floating around, but until anything's confirmed, we'll call it what it is: copium and speculation. Also on the horizon, the Highlander reboot. Cavill wants to swing a sword again, this time under the direction of Chad Stahelski, aka the man behind John Wick. Apparently the script is done and filming set to begin this year. And if that wasn't enough, Henry just wrapped production on another Amazon blockbuster, Altron. A second chance at the giant robot genre he missed when he lost Pacific Rim to Charlie Hunnam. Now he finally gets to smash some mechs. Sure, he missed out on some roles that could have taken his career in more prestigious directions. He never became James Bond, even though during Uncle Days, he was the perfect pick to reboot Bond back to his classy, but let's be honest, Henry Cavill has a great job. He gets paid really well. He stars in big budget movies and somehow still has time to paint Warhammer minis and flex his gaming rig. The man built a career out of almosts and turned himself into a legend anyway. So no, don't feel bad for Henry Cavill. Feel a little jealous. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. If you enjoy the video, drop a like and hit that subscribe button. It really helps me keep going and make more stuff like this. Take care of your family, respect your elders, and hey, all the best to you. See you next time.